Hello everyone, and welcome back again to Battle Rap Resume. Thank you so much for listening. If you're a returning listener, this is our 6th episode now, which is crazy, really. This is sort of a New Year's whim, and I drunkenly messaged Shocks the Rebel, and he agreed to do it. And from then, it's just gone on to be been a lot of fun, really, and a lot of people have been getting in contact. So yeah, thank you so much for coming back. If you're come back, or if you're a new listener, this is basically a show where I've been a fan of battle rap for many years now, probably like 5 years now, just under 5 years, something like that. So not too long in the grand scheme of things, but a little while. Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter as well. Just before we get into the interview, just follow at Battle Rap Resume, all one word. Also on YouTube, you might be listening to it on YouTube now. Also on iTunes, of course, as well, if you want to download it there. The other ways, but yeah, on YouTube I upload a few compilation videos as well, and I'm working on a few things that should be out by the time this episode hits. So if you want to check this out, we're on Battle Rap Resume on YouTube. Also email me, battlerapresume@gmail.com. I've had some great emails so far. Really appreciate people getting in contact, just giving their opinions on some of the battlers we've had on, and sort of suggesting future guests, which has been great as well. But today, I'm really happy to say I have I mean, I won't mince words, really. One of my favourite battlers, someone that I enjoyed ever since I saw his 4th birthday battle with Bamalam. I remember it came on my subscription box, and I was just don't flop. Well, still am, obviously, but at the time, I was just really, really getting into battles, just watching anything that came out and just clicking on anything. And I kind of sort of knew Bamalam from like his Mystery Clash or something. No, he battled C Major, that's right, and I kind of knew him from there. And I literally did not know who the hell 100 Bulletz was, but I'm very happy to say that I do now. 100 Bulletz, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Just glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
No, of course. We'll jump straight into it because we've got quite a few battles to get through now. You're obviously you are King of the Dot. That is kind of your affiliation. If there were going to be some sort of baseball cards or whatever here, and we have your debut against Bulle. How did getting into King of the Dot? This was 2011, I believe. So King of the Dot had been around a little while now. What was the process like about actually getting this battle?
At the time, I'd been on rapmusic.com, which now kind of is dead, and everybody's moved over to RMBVA or another site that I won't mention. But
yeah,
I was on rapmusic.com since about 1999 and was doing all the text battles back then. And I stopped text battling and following battles maybe around 2004 and completely missed the WRCs. I didn't even know they existed, and jump off all that stuff. And a buddy of mine was kind of like, hey, man, there's battles happening. Sent me over some Thesaurus versus Dirtbag Dan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started watching them, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and make money off this. Now, when I say
smart.
that, I mean I said I was gonna make a website.
Got Raps, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So gotraps.com was basically a website where you could have two, amateurs or whatever, go online, upload a verse about the opponent, and then it could be online with side-by-side videos. It wasn't through YouTube. It was something that was actually created and built for the purpose of stuff like that. And basically I was gonna have a tournament, and I ended up having Soul was in the tournament, and
oh shit,
Everybody Knows and Pamphlet and some pretty decent names were all in this tournament. But prior to actually getting anybody in the tournament, I was like, all right guys, I got a $500 prize, I got a new website, and I knew I could go back to rapmusic.com and probably find where the rappers are. And that's what happened. So when I went there and I offered money for people to get online and do nothing but what they already do, it got a lot of resistance. So I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I need to battle. And if I'm a battler and I'm decent, they will go to my site. So
yeah,
I had my first battle, and the same way on rapmusic.com, I made a thread who do I need to talk to get a battle in King of the Dot. At the time, Troy Kingfly was talk to Gully. I said, all right, who's Gully? I don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
He's whatever, whatnot. You can find him here, da 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 da. And that was basically it. I had a buddy from work, and we battled on my site, and that was basically it. That was my footage. I sent it over to Gully, and he saw it, and he was like, "Okay, we'll get you a battle, and your first battle is going to be against this guy Bully." And that's how I got my first battle.
Y'all brought a slingshot to fling rocks at fortified fortresses. I'll be immortalized for my rhymes, glorified and adored for it. Get him. You should have died when the stork dropped you off at the abortionist.
No, interesting, and like you say, you in your intro, all you say is gotraps.com. You big it up, and obviously when I was watching this battle back for the podcast, I immediately searched it out, and it's now like a defunct site. It doesn't exist, so I was really interested. Bully's a bit more typical. He just says, "Bully man, block bangers. The team is in the fucking building." He lets you know of his grill. Bully, who's still battling, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
Who has just, I think in the same span, you've had 29 battles, I believe, since that, and he's had 25,
right.
And he's been pretty. But you know, whereas you've had a PG, you know, been to Don't Flop numerous times. I mean, this is not just throwing any shade on Bully, but Bully, he's kind of still in the GZs, and Beast Mode's a Canadian league,
That's
right?
right. It's a league. They got a lot of good talent actually, and they build up guys, and then guys go to King of the Dot from Beast Mode, or they go to different leagues or whatever, whatnot. But yeah, it's actually out of Toronto as well.
Oh, right, interesting. Shout out Diego Davallo, who I'm going to have on the podcast soon, from Beast Mode. I've been watching a load of his battles recently. He's fucking awesome.
He's real good.
Yeah, he's real good. It's quite nice as well, actually, where basically in your intro, so before you actually start to rap, you just say, "I won't rap about his fat mounds or his 40 chins."
Right.
Which is quite a nice little strategy, and the whole first round is kind of, you know, I mean, it's interesting to see anyone's tryout and to kind of see the seeds of what they will become. And we don't see any schemes here per se. We just see a very skillful writing, like a great funny multi-stacking, a great command of vocabulary. You know, your raps are pitiful, repugnant, minuscule, redundant. You must have a fetish for being ridiculed in public, and you have this delivery. You have this kind of it's condescending, but it's quite powerful as well. And you can tell that the room's with you. And then we have the kind of, you know, I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. It happened in no time. I can't stop thinking about bars and dope lines. Whereas Bully, I mean, definitely. If you listen to this, definitely check this battle out. But one of the things that I like about Bully in this battle is he has some quite odd references. Some of them don't pan out. Some of them do. You know, your games never end like Little Big Planet. That works. He talks about painting it clear like a Picasso picture. I believe Picasso was famously a cubist and very obscure. But like, you know, I get where he's going, and then we kind of have a strap of Velcro bar, and it's just, you know, it's not really got that. But I think the main thing about this battle that I love, and I don't know if you noticed this, but it was mentioned in the comments, and I didn't catch it on the first watch, but I've watched this battle a few times now. Whenever I watch it, I always watch this moment. It's brilliant. In your second round, I'm not sure if it's actually your guys with you. I don't know if you had any guys with you, but there's like a sort of a little altercation that happens where some beer falls over someone.
Yeah. No, those guys weren't with me. I mean, I had some people that were with me. They were directly behind me. But the guy that got the beer spilled on him, he was with me. The guy that spilled his beer was not. The guy that actually got the beer spilled on him is the guy that from my work at the time, and we had done the battle together on Got Raps, so he was like my opponent at the time. But yeah, he came there from work, and there was a few other guys that were there from work at the time.
No, and it's not exactly a Charlie Clips locksmith situation. If anyone remembers that from the 5th birthday with the O'Shea battle, it's very Canadian. It's very chilled. It's quite nice actually. It's one of those ones where it's kind of like these great Renaissance paintings where there's so much going on in the background and you have to keep looking. Like, it's just there. It's not really a big deal. It's not, you know, it just kind of happens or whatever. And you know, the third round, inevitably you go in on his weight. Bully, he's not like a sort of G-Main Frost or a Shotgun Shug, but you know, he's quite a big guy. He's got a grill. You talk about growing up on Gangstar. He grew up on MC Donald's.
Right.
You know, it's not. I mean, what is your writing process going like? So you'd say you've been on rap music, doing text battles for so long. So do you have like a vault of bars that you're drawing from, or are you writing specifically for Bully?
No, I mean the time between my first battle in King of the Dot or Ground Zero and the writing the text battles was like 8 years. So. And I never have a vault of bars. Even right now, I don't have a vault of bars. Basically, not. I mean, basically, it was like a tryout, like you said, and I was trying out things too. So in my first round, like there's people that I thought were good at the time, and you know I still do. Bender and Averb were basically my two, biggest influences.
Yeah.
The intro was something that I borrowed from Iron Solomon against Ines. I'm not going to talk about your background or origin. I'm not going to talk about, something to get the win. That's all I'm going to talk about. Like, whatever. I forget how it goes. But so, I mean, in the first and the second round, it was like, I'm going to try some bars. I'm going to try some jokes. I don't know what people want. I don't know what people want from me. They don't know me. I don't know what I'll be good at. I don't know anything. I just know that this is what I have. But in the third round, I'm going to do some of this multi-stacking type, more aggressive rapping stuff. And that's what I did in the third. And that's more or less what I enjoyed listening to at the time and watching at the time. So in the third round, when they said, when I got the reaction, I'm like, okay, so that's what I'll be doing for a while.
And you're coming out with a clear W, and it's a fun battle that people should check out. But we'll jump ahead to, for me, when I was getting into King of the Dart, it was this Grand Prix era, which, looking back, what an incredible era. Like, so many good battles and such a great atmosphere and just so many interesting people in the tournament. And obviously this is kind of, where you got your name sort of thing. I remember quite lamely really, but I remember tweeting Chilla years ago, just being like, when will you battle Bulletz? You both do schemes, it'd be amazing, blah blah blah. And he was just like, when he gets back to that Grand Prix level, and I've been reading a lot about your battles, obviously, in preparation for this, and reading a lot about what people think, and a lot of people seem to say that this was, really your kind of, when you became more than just that third round against Bulle, and you move into a new thing, and your work rate up to this point is crazy. Like, it's like the early Beatles career, the amount of stuff you're putting out. It's like every month there was a battle coming out from November till April. So, obviously these are battles that we're going to kind of skip over going into the Grand Prix. But yeah, from November to April, you go from Step Easy. I mean, a lot of these are kind of, you appreciate that these early King of the Dot people are people that I just wouldn't know. But it's kind of interesting just to watch these people. Like, do you remember Killer Miller? He battled with Fork Farm. No, see, okay, I would urge people to listen to him. He's basically like a sort of classic Canadian recess high school bully. Like he's an asshole. He's not very good to watch. He's not very clever, but he's just so unusual to see. And it's like Organic and Gully and Bishop and everyone's there, and it's just this kind of wild kid just getting in people's face with a backwards baseball cap. But anyway, so you go from Step Easy to MC Bill to CL to Fork Farm to Young Casper to Dose. I mean, at this point, you're really kind of putting yourself into King of the Dart. I mean, as a battler, you were seeing this as something viable. I mean, was Got Raps around as you got into the Grand Prix, or was it a different thing to you now?
No, I mean, by the time I was getting into the Grand Prix, Got Raps was dead. Excuse me. It worked for a while, and then it, due to stuff that had nothing to do with me, it just fell off. Yeah. But no, I mean, what was happening during that time was, like I said, I got into battle rap for one purpose, and then I kind of was decent at it, or at least good enough to continue.
Yeah.
And then when there was no more sight, I was like, well, I still like battling, so, I'll keep doing it, but I have to have a reason. So my whole thing was the Grand Prix. If there was no Grand Prix, then I wouldn't be battling. If I hadn't got into the Grand Prix, then I was gonna quit, because I mean, the whole thing is, like, when you talk about all the different people that maybe are still in a similar position as they were back then, a lot of them, maybe they're not good enough to get out of it, but a lot of them just didn't have a chance, because it's hard to get out of the ground zero type of beginner phase, because bigger names won't battle you, and it's hard for a league to book you against a bigger name. Even if they would battle you, the fans don't want to see it. So the Grand Prix was my way out of ground zero and my way, onto the main stage. I mean, I had the JVL battle, which was not ground zero, and it was in front of 300 people or whatever, whatnot. And, so, and I did really well in that battle. And then after that, I just was like, all right, I'm pretty good, and I want to make sure I get into this Grand Prix. So I'm going to battle a bunch of guys and get a bunch of wins, so that when they're making the selections, they can't overlook me. But I ended up losing a bunch, and I pretty much was sure that I wasn't going to get in the Grand Prix, even after the last battle before the Grand Prix, which I lost a decision. Which, by the way, all my decisions that I lost, they have more dislikes than likes on YouTube. So.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's we're gonna get onto the Arcane battle. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I mean, long story short, I called up Step Easy after I said, look, man, I'm not gonna get in this Grand Prix. I just lost. I just lost like 2 out of my last 3, or maybe even more. It was just a bad slump, and sign up. So he signed up, and then luckily for me, for whatever reason, shout out to Organic and Gully, but they put me in the tournament still, and that's why I'm still rapping.
Yeah, and it was for those listening who probably don't recall the tournament. It was 24 slots split over East and West, and then it was $150, I believe, to register.
Something
around that.
Above 100, or it might have been 100. It was definitely. It was definitely 100 or more, maybe 150.
It's a really exciting tournament that I urge people to go back and check out. So obviously take out Dose in the first round, and then I mean Sharon, a huge scalp. Even at that time, I mean I'm just checking now. That battle was released June 2012, so it's coming up to 4 years ago. But I'm guessing Sharon was always a big name in King of the Dot, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, there was never a moment. There was never a moment when Sharon wasn't getting like more views, significantly more views than the average guy, and. There was never, even in his very first battle, he was getting views because of how he freestyles and his image and all of that. And he's good.
He's great.
So, yeah, no, I mean, in the first round, I battled Dose. At the time, he was undefeated. He was looking for a title shot. He had battled, I think, judged battles. He was 7-0. He had just beat 24/7. And then basically the Grand Prix was like his thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to win the Grand Prix. I'm going to get the title shot, and that's what I'm going to do. And then, I did a good job against him. And then...
you stomped on that dream.
Yeah. And then, Sharon was the second round. I was friends with Sharon by this point for about maybe 6, 7, 8 months by then. So when I beat Dose, Sharon was on the phone like, hey, man, I guess we battle the next round. Good luck. It's going to be fun. And so that was that. So we had that battle.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, that's a great battle, but we'll move on to the Kid Twist battle, which, again, I mean, Kid Twist at this time must have been Whiteheart. Like, the Dumbfounded battle was quite a while before this, wasn't it? So he had quite a lot of heat coming into it.
Yeah. I mean, Kid Twist was definitely, like, Dose was a big battle for me. He was definitely bigger than any battle prior to the Grand Prix. By far.
Looking like a college professor giving a comedy lecture. If your pen game's on lock, you got a pocket protector. You belong in the New Zealand National Park, Twist. Right next to the kangaroos. Because Alex Larson is a Kiwi. He's a bird and a fruit.
Sharon was by far a bigger battle than Dose. And then Kid Twist was pretty much the biggest battle I was going to get in King of the Dot, other than maybe like a Bender or something like that. Somebody who was currently like at the top. So Kid Twist was somewhere where I'm like, where it was basically like, if I beat Kid Twist, then I'm gonna have done what I needed to do. I mean, I obviously want to win 2 more so that I can get the title shot and I can do all these great, amazing things, right? But if I beat Kid Twist, then there's no way that I'll be denied a position in the King of the Dot roster type of every time there's a big card or something like that, Bulletz will be on the card, and it was all about competition. So I if I felt like I was battling a bunch of guys that I shouldn't be battling, then I wasn't gonna battle. So I needed to do this battle and beat Kid Twist so that they could say, okay, we're gonna get you more competition and tougher matches and whatever else may happen after that.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic battle. I mean, one of the things that I don't know if it's a patented King of the Dot thing, but I definitely associate with them the pre-interviews, which I quite like maybe just coming from a sort of indoctrinated to sort of endless Premier League pre-game stuff, but it's just it just feels almost natural for me for a contest. And Kid Twist, he's quite funny actually. He just sort of saying like, he just basically talks about your name in his intro, and he's like, your name's a gun reference, a number, a misspelling with a Z at the end. Woo! And you just talk about the possibility of a body bag. The co-host JRDN, this is a known guy in the Canadian scene. He was on Canadian Idol, wasn't he? I believe.
Yeah, Jordan. He's
Jordan.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's how you spell his name.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay, so there's my ignorance showing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's known out here. He's got some good songs, and he's a talented singer and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. So yeah, we'll jump into round one. You basically start breaking down his name. If anyone didn't realize, Kid Twist, I didn't know this either, was from a mobster, Abraham Reyes, New York mobster. Basically worked for Murder Inc. And he was thrown out of a window. And then the writing here, we've jumped forward a lot. So it's kind of, if you were to compare the Bully to the Kid Twist thing, I mean, it's just sensational, really. There's so many punches that are hitting. Even the simple little things, even the stuff that's kind of just, it's not really meant to be a punch in any way, I just really like. So you talk about, if your pen game's on lock, you got a pocket protector. That's just kind of like a little throwaway bar. Brilliant Ellen DeGeneres punch. I know it's a slight difference. She's funny and actually likes women. When you just you're kind of attacking him on this kind of effeminate basis on the first round here. You compare him to a not very PC, but you compare him to a faggot in a locket room, and you talk about all his past opponents. And basically how they are kind of, gaining leverage over him and just gaining more popularity. Except for Bartone. Now, Bartone's someone I'm not really aware of. Thinking of is he kind of a Mickey Worthless type figure, or? I mean,
Bartone's just a guy that his name gets dropped. At the time, it was like, if you wanted a reaction, then take a shot at Bartone.
Yeah,
that was basically.
Yeah, right. Okay, it's kind of like a Danny Jack, if we're going to put that in kind of the modern era. Shout out to Danny though, he's great. So you, he inevitably spends the first round. He's talking about basically your physicality. And you just flip that and you talk about him. You look like the thin version of a Tim Burton stick person. Now, was that freestyle? Was that kind of in the locker there?
I don't freestyle much, so if I flipped anything, it was probably pre-written.
Okay. No, well, that's the thing though. You do a couple of the freestyles in the Arcane as well.
No, I mean in this battle and against all the people that were freestylers, like I battled Sharon, I battled Kid Twist. They're good with flips, so I wanted to be as well-rounded as possible. I wanted to outflip them. I wanted to rap about things. Like everything I wrote, I was like, I can't write anything that they can easily flip. If they're gonna flip anything, then they're gonna have to really work for it, because I'm not gonna give them any layups, type of a thing. And then the first round in the Kid Twist, I remember because after I beat Sharon and we're still friends and all that stuff, so I'm showing him my rounds and my material, and we're both like, man, your first round is he can't beat your first round.
No, it's a killer round.
And so we're like, okay, so so I always put my questionable stuff, even to this day, I always put my stuff that I'm not sure about in round 2. I say like, all right, round 2, I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know if they're gonna like it. I don't know if they're not gonna like it. But I have 3 rounds, and it's not gonna go in my third, and it's definitely not going in my first. So I'm just gonna put this in the second. So I was like, the second round, who knows what'll happen. The third round, it's all going to come down to this, multi-scheme. And if that hits, then I'm great. But my first round, I know I'm going to start 1-0. And then the battle happened, and I was like, damn, I lost the round. Like, I really believed, like, I was down 1-0. And most people agreed with me. And even after the battle, talking with Sharon, he was like, damn, you lost the first round. And we're like, you got to win the next 2. So Kid Twist's first round was amazing.
Yeah.
And and it had me shook. And in the battle, I do what a lot of people do, is they don't show it on camera a lot, which is great, because I would have got crucified for being a poor sport. But I started predicting all of his lines. I started shaking my head. I started doing every possible thing on the planet to let everybody know, why are you guys reacting to this? It's not good. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Because I'm down 1-0, and I don't know what's gonna happen to my second.
I feel that. I don't know if I have him taking the first. His first is his strongest, and I think Kid Twist. Maybe I love Kid Twist, and it's definitely great to see him back on King of the Dot as well. I think his John battle is fantastic. It's really good material in that. But I think his second and third aren't necessarily as strong. It's interesting you talk about putting maybe your slightly more questionable stuff in the second, because I think your second is fucking so good. The sort of the kid show scheme.
Right. That's when I kind of, not to cut you off, but I mean.
Yeah. No, of course.
The first battle I did a scheme in was against Dose. I put it in the second round. It was the chocolate bar scheme and whatnot. Everybody liked it, so I'm like, all right, they're liking the schemes. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Well, I have to break my opponent down, so I'm going to break him down in this first round. And, same thing with Sharon. I put, breaking him down in the first, schemes in the second. I mean, honestly, I do the same thing every battle. Just nobody mentions it or notices it.
Right.
And then against Kid Twist, same thing. First round, break them down. Second round, I'm going to do all the questionable things. I'm not sure if people are going to like it, which at this point were still schemes, because this wasn't like the post Chilla everybody scheming era. You know what I mean? It was like Chilla was an up and comer who was scheming as well, but schemes hadn't fully taken over the scene. So I was like scheming in Canada. And there were only a few people that were scheming, and I wasn't sure. So in the second round, it was like great. It popped off as better than I could have ever imagined in the second round. And then that kind of, his second round, like you said, was weaker than his first. And then his third was weaker than his first and his second. And I kind of got stronger every round.
Totally. And I think we mentioned this a while ago on Twitter. We were just having a little bit of a back and forth about how schemes, in order for a scheme really to pop off, it needs to have a killer closing line that kind of makes everything worth it. It's not just a random assembly of TV shows. So you kind of, if you basically say, if you're paying close attention, you'll see that's all kid shows. So that's, it's all the Kid Twist is good for, basically, is this sort of stuff. It's just really, really clever. I distinctly remember watching that with friends in Liverpool at university. I just have a distinct memory of watching that. And also the iPhone, you'll need series help.
Right.
And it's those sort of punches that just have that kind of that 1 second delay. It doesn't hit like necessarily like in a bluntness that maybe I was sort of used to with Don't Flop on a certain level, and then you just kind of go in again on the effeminate nature that you built in on second. So you said your girl's 6 feet with a deep twat. Now I admit I'm a science rookie, but basically what you're saying is you're both attracted to giant pussies, which is a really, really funny line. I mean, the crowd here are brilliant. I think like the King of the Dot crowd get a bit of slack, and we'll talk about the Chilla battle later, and the crowd for that's a bit weird, really. It's kind of half alive, but I think in the Grand Prix battle they seem so receptive. It's brilliant.
I mean the battle rap is a phase. Everything in battle rap is a phase, and there's I mean that's a completely different conversation. But basically with crowds, what happens is, and with every league, they start off with a except for the URL, but even they had jokes at the beginning. But you start off with jokes because it's just what everybody knows, and then and everybody laughs at everything, and then you slowly get more complex, and you have to be more creative. Not to say that joking isn't creative, but you just can't say a racial joke unless you're saying Bulletz is white. Then that'll get you laughs.
Right,
you don't have to do anything with that. Just say Carlton, and you'll shut down the house. But But other than that, you have to be more creative. And what happens is during this era, King of the Dot was still in there. We love battle rap so much as an audience type of a thing. They're there to listen to to everything. They're there to react. They're there to have fun. And the same thing happens with Don't Flop. The King of the Dot's like a year and a half or something, if you want to say older, then Don't Flop.
Yeah.
But if you look at what happens in King of the Dot, and you look at what happens with the cards, and you look what happens with internationals, and you look what happens with the crowd, and you look at what happens with the content, King of the Dot's like about a year and a half ahead every time. So when King of the Dot moves away from jokes, a year later, Don't Flop kind of brings some bars in. And it's not that they're copying. It's just that that's the natural progression. Same thing happened in Grind Time, and same thing happened, before King of the Dot. So, the crowd at this point in King of the Dot was a great crowd, and I loved
Brilliant.
The crowd in King of the Dot, and in that particular building, it was a really good building for battle rap. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. It was still a pit format with raised seating.
Yeah.
It was really like.
Yeah, the crowd seemed to go on forever into the backdrop.
It was a great
brilliant.
thing that club no longer exists. They had to go to other places and whatnot. And battle rap, like I said, things happen and things change naturally. And now the fans are, they're a little more like, okay, we've been here, or you've got new guys and they want different things. So I mean, that's what's happening with crowds nowadays. Not including the URL, which is always just kind of a rabid crowd. But
in the third. Incredible. Like you say, your multi-attack is it just kills it really. Closing off with the twisted scene from Hitler's Dreams and the Nazi scientific team. It's huge. It gets a huge reaction. And no, I mean, talk about Sharon being worried about the first round and stuff, but I don't think there's any doubt that you pretty consistently beat Kid Twist here. And even in the closing interview, he calls you the vanguard of the next generation of King of the Dot, which is a nice quote as well. And you say at the end, I just put Kid Twist in a box and left room for Arcane.
Right.
So, controversial battle with Arcane. And I must say, this was only pointed out to me recently, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but, for the sake of integrity, I will. I always thought that his sister had died for some reason.
Yeah, she has. She had died.
Oh, she had?
R.I.P.
Okay.
I don't know who she is. I don't
no,
know
of course,
but
yeah.
She definitely did die.
Oh, so that's what you were referencing. The car crash was real?
No. I don't know how she died.
No, okay, but that was
so
just...
the car... See, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously that whole battle comes down to the third round, So I don't know what you plan on talking about, but I can... Since we're talking about the third round real quick, I can always jump to it.
Please.
The game plan for me in that third round was, Arcane spent his whole career talking about family members for the most part, and telling stories about people. And these stories, a lot of the times, weren't true. And then in the Grand Prix, he introduced this "I'll show you how it's supposed to be done" thing, which he did really well in every single battle. And he would basically take his opponent's style and flip it and do it himself, and sometimes do it better, or at least do it more effective for the crowd. And I said to myself, okay, well, what does Arcane do if I'm going to show him how it's supposed to be done? And in reality, he kind of, at the time, he doesn't really have a quote-unquote style. I can't say you do multis or you do punchlines or you do schemes. I can't really do that. But what he has always done is said offensive things about opponents' family members and told stories about them. And it just so happened that his family members, in this case, are deceased. Yeah. I don't know how they died. I think I think I know now, but it doesn't even matter to even talk about it.
No, of course
but
not.
The point is still that I didn't know, and I didn't need to know because he used to make stories up anyways. So that's what I did. I made stories up about what happened to his family, and it was a bad idea. Nobody's ever won a battle using that kind of angle of what people would call shock. Like, nobody's ever won the battle. Every single time there's ever been a judge battle, they say the winner is the guy who didn't say all the crazy stuff. Even from Pat Stay versus Marv 1 to whatever battle it is. And then after the fact, when I was in Don't Flop in my debut, I was talking to DNA, and he's like, "Yeah, buddy, you don't go that route. It's not a good idea.
You don't go full."
But I basically got disqualified. They didn't say, you got disqualified, but at the end of the day, they were not going to give me that battle, because of the stuff I said in the third.
It's a little far. I mean, like you say, it's logical, and you do explain yourself in the third as well. You talk about something you said about Lopez's sister or something like that, and I don't know, Arcane. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the guy, to be honest. And even if you were to give that round, even if you say, okay, Bulletz lost the third automatically for whatever reason, you still take the first two. Like really clearly take the first two. But we'll start off again. Pre-interviews. Arcane just sort of does his stuff, his sort of normal posturing. Interesting to see you reading Brian Azzarello's 100 Bullets, obviously where you get your name from, the graphic novel, which I've just started reading, actually. I'm quite a fan of graphic novels, and I've just got a hold of the first volume, really, really enjoying it. And that was that a name you'd always had online, or was that something you adopted when you came to King of the Dark?
My grandma used to call me 100 Bullets as a kid. And I'd be running around the streets, and it was because I didn't have any guns, but I had a lot of bullets. And she always used to say, hey, come in the house, 100 bullets. No, obviously, that's not true at all. I got it from...
And then you saw it in the comic store, yeah.
And then the comic came out, I said, well, what a coincidence. And it's a good story.
Yeah.
I read the story. I felt that the premise of the story, which is you get an opponent or you get a target, you get information, and you get ammo to do whatever you want, and
immunity
no
as
matter
well.
what you say, you get the immunity with it. And I felt that's a really good metaphor for battle rap. Where else can you get an opponent, information on them, say all the types of crazy stuff, and know that whatever you say, in theory, it's supposed to be okay.
No, it's very apt, and a gift for any opponent with the name flips as well. So
yeah, I'll be honest. I'm shocked at the low level. I don't mean quality, but the number of name flips that I actually get hit with. I know if I battled me, I would flip my name to a high extent, and it's very strange that I haven't been absolutely be-magicked.
Yeah. In the it's not a battle we're going to cover, but against Thesaurus, he said you're not 100 bullets, you're the same bullet 100 times, or something along those lines, which is a pretty dope flip as well. That battle also probably subtitled the sweatiest battle on Don't Flop. It looks so hot on that verdict stage. It was ridiculous. You can tell poor Pete, he's parched. He can barely get his rounds out. But check that battle out. It's a really good battle. And it's interesting you talk about post the Sharon battle, even before the Sharon battle, you guys were bros anyway. You talk about Dose. Dose is in your corner as well, which is really nice going into this battle.
Well, no, that's a fake Dose.
Oh,
that's a fake Dose.
Oh, okay. That's
that. There was a guy in the crowd that looked like Dose.
Oh, so it was kind of a sort of. Okay.
So I was like, "Hey, come on in my corner and pretend that you're Dose. You look a lot like him, and people will forever believe that." It's like me trolling people.
Well, there we go. I've been trolled successfully. So
4-year later troll or whatever it was.
It's worth it. The long con. Yeah, and Arcane sort of, it's a bit of a bully, really. That's
when you were telling stupid stories. I was writing schemes, player, for that green paper I draw and put 5 on the side of your whip like Speed Racer. You'll see me pop up every 15 minutes in your window like a screensaver. I'm here to knock you out swinging. One arm behind my back like a speed skater.
Yeah. Kind of his route, and he actually mentions 100 bullets in the start. He talks about it only ran for 100 issues. It's kind of fitting because you always ran from 100 issues, and it's just kind of like he has that sort of predictable grind. He has a triangles line as well, and a little choke as well, like a small one, but a little choke. And I love your opening scheme, the fire scheme. I think it's really, really strong. Whether or not I go lighter on you, I'm not kind of going to quote verbatim. I urge you to check it out because the performance is really, really strong as well. You're going to die from this match. And then it's like, a sort of thing I hadn't seen from you. Like, it was kind of like next level scheming. You go straight into another scheme, a really long math scheme as well. That gets another huge reaction. I mean, these schemes, they seem to be intrinsically linked to you now. People are almost expecting them, and they know that they're going to be of quality. I mean, when you're writing schemes, people often will mock schemes, and they'll just be like, "Oh, it's just a list of words." But obviously, it's so much more than that. It's not saying it's this magnificent, form of creativity. Like, you are kind of joining the dots in a sense, you could argue with that, but like when are you like, okay, I'm facing Arcane, I'm going to do a fire scheme, or do you have a fire? Because I mean, you don't necessarily mention Arcane in the fire scheme, if you know what I mean. You could have used that against anyone you're in the semi-final with,
right? I mean, basically against Arcane was scheming. He was one of the people that was scheming, that were scheming, and they were working. I was scheming, and I mean, what happened up until the Arcane battle was every scheme I had was directly connected to my opponent. So if I did say, a scheme like with Kid Twist, it was that's all Kid shows. Or if I was talking about the scheming against Dose, it was something about a crazy Snicker. It was a chocolate bar scheme, and it ended with talk about him being racist and me being whatever, playing on the words there. But I noticed that in general, you didn't have to be direct.
No.
So like I said, I never have a material, and I especially didn't have material in the Grand Prix because I wouldn't hold on to something. If I wasn't going to win, then it wouldn't matter. So it's not like I would be like, oh, I'm going to save this one for Arcane. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
No, it was like, I'm battling Arcane. This is, and basically the way it would be is if I thought of a punchline, you're going to die from this match, then I just scheme back, what fits with it. And then same thing with, I would think, okay, we're not equal. Our lines aren't the same. parallel lines. Okay, math. You know what I'm saying? Or geometry or whatever the situation is.
Sure.
So, I mean, I still kept scheming to... I wouldn't say like I didn't overdose on scheming like I'd started to do later.
No.
But I did kind of move away from stuff that only had to do with Arcane or stuff that I tied into my opponent, because I still hadn't kind of drank the Kool-Aid of just scheme on anything.
Well, I mean, you do an entourage scheme in your first round, which kind of comes out of nowhere, where you just scheme through the whole cast of Entourage, and I'm like,
that's a fact. That's a fact. But again,
you know,
this was because I'm battling Arcane. He's a schemer, right? Yeah. He was like, he wasn't a schemer, but he was scheming a lot. So I wanted to show that I was in the first round a better schemer than him, a better writer in general than him. In the second round, I wanted to show that I was better with punchlines and creativity than him, and then in the third round, I wanted to show that I was even more offensive. And whatever you want to call that, than him. So that was the plan.
I got it working, and the first again, just a little line that I quite liked. You talk about, you see me pop up in your window every 15 minutes like a screensaver, which is quite nice. And then his second, he schemes a lot, as we've said. I feel like the word scheme has been said hundreds of times in the past 60 seconds. But yeah, he schemes a lot. And, if you think he's smarties, and it's like, he does like a sweet scheme that doesn't really work. He does call out your bars and entertainment on deck like a cruise ship bar, which I didn't mind. Kind of calling out. I mean, how do you feel? Because that's... there's many ways, if you're kind of running out of material in a battle rap round, you can do... lots of name flips, scheming, of course, and you can also do, here's some shit you wrote that isn't very good. I mean, are you a fan of these kind of ploys? Are they necessary when you've just got to write so many battles? You've had almost 30 battles now. You can't always rely on bar after bar after bar, can you?
I mean, you kind of can, to be honest.
Well, you do. Yeah.
If you have an opponent before you, with every battle, they should bring more ideas. So even though I've now had, 29 battles that I've released, even though I've had a few battles that haven't been released or whatever, whatnot, in my, Unanimous is like my 30th battle. It's not like I'm like, oh man, I'm all out. Yeah. Because Unanimous
oh my God.
brings material. And then after I battle Unanimous, let's pretend I battled anybody else. They would lend material to, to write for. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to the scheming and stuff like that, that's one thing. You just can literally, I know like guys from Suns and, QP specifically, he has his little tricks for just coming up with any scheme. And it doesn't matter. He'll just be like, all right, I'm going to write a scheme about this.
Oh, yeah. He's amazing.
You know what I mean? So, and he does it the best. But anyways.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the material's always there. The material's always there. It's always there to be had. It's just how creative you make it, and if you how lazy you are, and that's what happens with scheming. It's very easy. I mean, I'm sure it's easy to get lazy with everything from jokes to whatever, but for me, it was very easy to write. Schemes are the easiest thing in the world to write. Even right now, with writing punches and angles and all of that stuff, it's all harder than writing a scheme. For me, I can write a scheme right away, and the other thing is, a scheme will take up a lot of time too. It's not you come up with the best punchline you can think of, that's 2 bars, that's 8 seconds. You come up with a scheme, it's 8 bars, it's 25 seconds. Like it's it's just easier. But if you get lazy, then it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, the Chilla Jones battle is kind of not necessarily a testament to laziness, but it's sort of schemes running out of gas, as it were. There's just doesn't quite have that sort of intensity and that sort of originality of thought. Like when I was really getting into scheming originally, it was kind of like catching on what the scheme's about and then ticking them off in your head and seeing what people do with them. So obviously in your third round, we'll kind of just get through his Arcane battle quite quick because we've already sort of touched on the disrespect thing, but have a really good Michael Jackson scheme as well, which ties into Arcane quite well, and just a very quick little movie scheme that you deliver in a really exciting way. Like I wouldn't necessarily, if I read this on paper, it's good, it's very clever, but like the way you deliver it's really powerful. It gets a really good reaction. If I point the cannon at this actor in a movie you're in, when I scream action, cut, take 2, and start shooting again, it's just kind of like pay on that. So obviously. You did put Arcane in the box. It was a family reunion, but King of the Knot didn't seem to approve. and you didn't go through. And I was, I mean, there was a chance you could have battled Disaster. Like, I think you would have beat Cheddar Cheese. And I think 100 Bullets versus Disaster, what an interesting style clash the King of the Dot to have. That would have been a far more interesting match than the Arcane Disaster match, for all its controversies aside. Just on paper, were you mentally thinking at this point, okay, I can beat Arcane. If you beat Kid Twist and Sharon, you can beat Arcane, surely.
I mean, it's a different battle. It's a completely different battle. Arcane presents a completely different type of opponent, and he's going to say different things to me. So with Kid Twist, I wasn't trying to out funny him. I wasn't trying to go wit for wit. I mean, I was trying to be witty, but it wasn't the goal. With Arcane, it was kind of like a fire with fire type of a thing. So I didn't look at it as, if I can beat this guy, I can beat the next guy or whatever. Even when I was battling Arcane, I was like, I really don't want to battle Cheddar Cheese. And there was never one point in the battle up until that battle where I said, I'm really not looking forward to battling the next guy, because I had already battled Kid Twist. I had already battled Sharon. So now I was going to battle like the third nerdy white guy. And like, what material did I have for him? And also it was like he's a really liked guy, and I knew he was gonna go on certain angles that were really gonna be easy to get crowd reaction. So I really was not looking forward to battling Kid Twist. Cheddar Cheese had I won. And as crazy as it seems, I wasn't confident that I would have beat Kid Twist. I mean, that I would have beat Cheddar Cheese.
They're all the same, right?
Had I gone past Arcane. So every battle, I literally didn't look ahead, and then in that battle, I kind of did, in the sense of, if I get through this, then there's only one more spot, and that would be great. But even then, I wasn't really looking at, well, if I beat him, then I'm battling Disaster, because it was just, it was a lot of stuff directly ahead of you, you know what I mean? Including, when they said, I got the call to battle Bamalam, they said, yo, Bamalam called you out, and this was when I was preparing for Arcane. And I said, what is a Bamalam? I don't know what Bamalam is. He's in Don't Flop.
Man.
No,
he's cool.
They said like, where he's in Don't Flop, and I'll be honest, I'm like, okay, what's Don't Flop all about?
Really?
I did not know anything.
No,
I didn't know anything about Don't Flop, and that's why when I went and battled Bamalam, I put all my questionable stuff in my second round, which ended up being one of my best rounds, because I just really didn't know what they were gonna like. I just knew that, the second round was all I don't know how they're going to take this.
I literally have that second round as probably my favourite round of yours, ever. I just think, quality-wise, and just in terms of the audience reaction, just the atmosphere of that whole 4th birthday event was incredible. But, silver linings. Okay, so you lose to Arcane, but then you go on Don't Flop, and you've built a huge, fan base on Don't Flop. Other than DNA and Sharon, I can't think of anyone else that has been invited back more. I'm trying. So you're at 4th birthday. You're at Verdict. Obviously, you've battled on DF USA as well. You're at Checkpoint, and then this is your 4th time coming to the UK.
In the UK, Soul Jitsu. Shuffle T, Bamalam, Thesaurus, and this. So this will be my 5th time in England.
Crazy. And so before this, obviously, you weren't really aware of Bamalam so you don't, even though you'd known battling since '99. Don't Flop it wasn't on the radar, and you were being on King of the Dot. No one was speaking about. You haven't watched it. You watched some Don't Flop at this point, or
I had watched Don't Flop, but I didn't know who Lunar C was.
Oh, sure.
That's how much I knew about Don't Flop. I did not know who Lunar C was. I didn't know anything. I just knew they existed.
Right.
And the thing is, as a fan of battle rap at the time, I didn't know what they were doing. I just knew that they were over there. I was over here. It didn't.
Yeah.
There was no real cross in my mind of let me go watch what they're doing. And not only that, I do from the time. What I knew of Don't Flop was from Sharon going over to Don't Flop.
Yeah.
And from 24/7 battling in Don't Flop, and I just knew that at the time it was a really big jokes heavy league. And I wasn't telling jokes.
No.
So it didn't seem like anything that I was going to be that interested in, or somewhere that might be interested in me, because it was really at the time, especially during my Grand Prix time, up until the 4th birthday, they weren't really bringing over quote unquote bars, and people there, for the most part, were telling really funny jokes and they're being creative in completely different ways. But what I was doing was not really happening over there. So it just was like, all right, you guys are doing your thing. Cool. More power to you. But, we don't, there's no reason for me to, look into it type of a thing. So, I mean, that's what happened when they said you want to battle and don't flop. I said, do you want to go to England?
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Son, Watts Elementary. It's no mystery. Murder. Shot one. Reverse that. One shot murder mystery. No, it's elementary, Watson. Yes.
that was it. But I'm like, you know what? I probably won't, though. And I turned it down. Like, I'm probably not going to take the battle because I have this battle coming up, and I might have to battle Caustic. I might have to battle Arcane, and the selling point, obviously I would have loved to go no matter what, but the selling point for me to say, okay, I'm gonna split my mind between writing for Arcane and then, because I don't write 2 battles at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm gonna have 3 weeks to write for Bamalam, and I'd never had anything remotely close to that little bit of a time to write. So was like, well, if it makes any difference, Caustic's coming. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, if Caustic's coming, then I'll go too. I'm like, all right, if Caustic's going to go, hey, what the heck? I'll go too. Let's go have fun in England.
Yeah. And
that's how I ended up going there.
So as a lot, obviously Don't Flop is kind of the league that I'm most of a fan of naturally. But this is regarded as one of the like a great battle. People look. I mean, the whole event was incredible. I think this was the 3rd battle of the day. Says it's the first international of the entire 4th birthday. And you were talking about the jokes thing, which is interesting because this is very much like a watershed event, isn't it? This is where they started bringing over the big MCs. Famously, this is where Shotty Arsenal happened, which I think, as of when this episode will be out, is still the most viewed battle. Although that might be dethroned by Dumbfounded Conceit, which seems to have a bit more momentum on it, but who knows?
Really?
Whatever. Yeah, it seems to have been gaining. I think I was looking at some sort of graph recently on Reddit, and it's just the pace that it's at is more than Shotty Arsenal has ever been.
That's crazy.
Like it's gaining hundreds. Because if you think about it, Conceited's obviously on Wild and Out, and Conceited has like over 1 million likes on Facebook. Like he's like one of these kind of.
He might have 2 million.
Yeah, it's insane. And obviously Dumbfounded's huge for a number of reasons. Does brilliant music, and just was a big battle
I guess
anyway.
there's a lot of people who are being introduced to that battle first, off the bat, over and over every single day. They're like, oh, let me go watch a battle. Conceited, let me watch a battle. Dumbfounded. Yeah, I feel that. I had no idea, though. I just knew that it was like the most viewed battle of the year it came out, but I didn't know that it was jumping up like that, because it's like 7 million views is that battle, or it's close to.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's at 4.1 million now. Conceited, Dumbfounded.
Oh, so still got another 3 million to go.
Yeah. Shotty Arsenal's at 8.5.
Yeah,
so
it's
got 4 million to go. Still a lot to go, but the fact that
how long are you planning on releasing this?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just the fact that Conceited, Dumbfounded hasn't been out a year yet, and it's got 4 million views in a year, which is, Shotty Arsenal's been out for 4 years. So it's just, but incredible event, incredible battle, great venue as well. It's a shame that Don't Flop don't use that venue anymore. But so you start off straight into a scheme, like bang into a scheme, where it's kind of like, it's hard to sort of. When I first listened to it, I was kind of, oh yeah, these are bands. Oh yeah, these are British bands. On the Radiohead, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know where we are. And then when you go back, it's really, really good. Can't find the cure for the Kinks in this clash. It's nice to hear you referencing what at the time were, and even now are, a pretty obscure, terrible British band, Keane.
No, hold on, chill out. Keane is fire.
Oh really? Okay.
I was a
on
fan
that Hopes
of
and
Keane,
Fears
so
tip.
Chill out.
No, everybody's changing's not bad. And,
I was a big fan of Keane.
Oh, fair enough, man. Yeah, no,
but I mean, you don't have to be, but I'm just letting you know.
No, it's all good, man. It's the Cure, the Kinks, and the Clash I like, but Keane is, and then Joel Watts, is a gift really for name flips.
Now, when I found out his last name was Watts, I'm like, oh man, this is crazy.
First round's done, this
is wild.
And sort of testament to like your kind of entourage scheme, so the non sequitur, Samuel L. Jackson scheme at the end of the first.
Yeah, sorry, just to be quick, sorry. After the Arcane battle, I was like, I wasn't really a fan of not because I lost. I just wasn't a fan of almost anything Arcane said in that whole battle, and I thought most of it was pretty trash.
Oh yeah.
I thought that he was much better in almost every other battle. You know, not almost, in literally every other battle.
Yeah.
But I recognize, this scheming thing is, they love it. Like, people just love schemes. I don't know why. I do it really well. I've got 3 weeks to write. I don't know anything about Bamalam. I don't know anything about Don't Flop. I just know that I'm going to England. So I'm going to use a lot of references, and I'm going to put them in schemes. And they're going to like it or they're not going to like it. And that's that.
Oh, my gosh.
So
we loved it.
So in the first round, I know they're going to like schemes most likely, because it seems the whole world likes schemes. I knew that they hated slow it downs, but I was going to do that in my second round. That's why I said.
They confuse us. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, I heard you don't like slow it downs. And I'm like, well, here we go. We're going to slow it down for the next minute and a half. You know what I mean? And then I'll do a football scheme, which I was pretty sure they'd like, but I wasn't sure. That's why it was in my second.
Yeah.
If I thought that they were going to absolutely love it, then I would have put it in my third. But
oh my god. Like the football scheme. Explosive. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest reactions I've ever seen to a scheme ever. Like, not only is it really, really well done. I mean, like, were you coming at it, is Bamalam right? Were you a FIFA fan, or were you just into football or soccer or whatever in general?
No, both. I mean, I'm a big FIFA fan, actually, like the actual video game.
Yeah, of course.
I play it. The last time I was over there, I whooped Villain. I whooped Archaic. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing my thing over there. So I'm undefeated over there. But also, like, with World Cup and whatnot, I was in the different football pools. And, like, I actually do really good with the pools and whatnot. And I was following the UEFA, the Champions League. And so, I don't watch it like you guys do, like every Saturday morning and Sunday morning and stuff like that. Yeah. Because for me, it's really actually Sunday morning. Like, I wake up in the morning and football will be on at like 8, 9 in the morning.
Yeah. It's weird to think that.
Yeah. So, I don't watch it every week like that. But it wasn't like, I'm like, all right, let's do a football scheme and let's go to Google. I did go to Google for anything I missed, you know what I mean? Which I always go to Google, you know what I mean? Yeah,
always. It's interesting because most of the footballs you reference in this scheme are very, very well known. Joe Hart, Lionel Messi, and Missing Eto'o, which is very clever. Yeah. But in the second, in the Thesaurus, where you just do another football scheme, I love the Serbian left back taking more than a Kolarov. Like, that's an obscure player. Like, not many people know that Man City, he's in Man City.
And he's Serbian, and he plays left back.
It's perfect, isn't it? It's it's built for it. It's like with the whole with the Joel Watts thing when you do the electric scheme in the first, and it's like, I don't like your conduct, and it's like when the word with the syllables make a new sentence. That's kind of the beauty. And Bamalam kind of, I get like he's decent in this battle. I definitely think
Bamalam's amazing in this battle. Like, if he was, I don't mean to cut you off, but if Bamalam wasn't amazing in this battle, then he would have been destroyed. Because you have to realize, like, in the big end, I went first. I think we flipped a coin.
Yeah,
I went first, and I killed the room. Like, I shut it down. I was like, this is great. When they said my name, they cheered more than when they said his name, which all of it was a surprise to me. I expected them, when I walked in the building, people were like, 100 bullets. I'm like, how do...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand, like...
It's the guy from the Bully battle.
I didn't really know what Don't Flop was. And they knew who I was.
Yeah, it must be
so I'm not even talking about the fans. I'm talking about really the league as a whole. I don't know Shoddy Horror. Like, there's a part in that battle where you look at me and I'm sitting up on stage and everything is just going crazy around me during Shoddy Horror's first round.
I know exactly the shot.
I'm completely dead still, and it was because I was like...
You've got your glasses on.
I was literally like, I don't know if these guys are going to be biased, so I'm not going to be a part of this. And if I see them start reacting to to Arsenal, then I'll get in, and then I'll enjoy the battle too. Like, that's what it was. I literally refused to be a part of it if they were going to be biased. And then I'm like, oh, this is just like the greatest crowd I've ever seen in my entire life. And then from after like in the middle of Arsenal's first round, I'm like, oh man, this is wild.
Oh, man.
And then I just enjoyed the battle like everybody else, but I didn't know anything.
No,
I didn't know anything. So, so it was just really strange. So in the first round, I killed it, and then he came right back with a lot of good material, stuff that I had never heard said to me before. Some really good schemes, bullet, your primitive bullets, archery,
yes,
really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the second round, I killed it even more. And had he been even average, then it would have been a complete landslide. And I know my third round, it was another complete. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but nobody says Bulletz was destroying him and then he had a implosion in the third. They say it was a great battle going into the third, and then he imploded. So
and and it's just kind of some original thoughts by Bamalam, or some original references where he talked about he brings up the dead family angle that you were talking about, and he compares you to Ayrton Senna, the Argentinian Formula One driver, for crashing out the Grand Prix. Which I just thought was just quite, it's not that original when I'm saying it, but like when he said it, I really, really like that thing. And when I was kind of making my notes and stuff, one of the things that I did realise that Bam, even though he had the home advantage, I think he tried out 10 months before, so he's still a very, very new face to a lot of the crowd. He wasn't kind of the established kind of dialect slayer that he's kind of known as now.
Right.
But you're just getting more reaction. People are just enjoying your stuff more. And I just want to kind of, just a few things that are crazy in the second as well. The whole no disguise. I used to love that shit. That's not that I don't love it now, but I've just watched this battle so many times. But I remember just, me and my friends used to always quote that. And the whole debate in your lines reeled them in. The reverse punchline, the Sherlock Holmes. It's a crazy round. It's an absolute annihilation. And then the third is, because I've watched a lot of your battles and I haven't really seen you choking at all. Was this very much an anomaly?
Yeah, I mean, what happened was before every battle, I mean, even this battle with Unanimous, I'm trying to get everything down pat right now so I can finish and have lots of time to memorize. Yeah. But I always do no homo, but choke training, right? I'll do things physical and spit my verses so that I'm tired. I'll do them when I'm tired. I'm just always finding different ways and rapping them on over the phone, and then people will cut me off. And at the time, if I was living near anybody, I'd rap it in front of them, and then they do other things against Thesaurus. I literally had Sharon saying, "I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it." So when he was saying that in the battle, I had actually already prepared for that. So I really, there's 3 reasons most people choke. The most reason people choke is because they don't get the reaction they expect. They spit a bar, and then they thought that the world was going to stop and bow to their feet, and it doesn't happen. And they're like, "Really, guys, that was amazing." And then they completely lose the train of thought. The second is getting reaction when they don't expect it. And then the third is something happening in the audience or something that throws them off. Those are most chokes.
Yes.
So I've always been, or not preparing. You just haven't prepared properly. I was prepared for everything, but something that I never practiced for, something that I wasn't aware of, and something that's never happened since, what I call it, the Cloud 9 choke. And that's what happened. I got out of round 2, and I was on Cloud 9. Yeah. I was like, this couldn't go any better. I'm winning. I don't even care. I'm in England. They love me here. This is really crazy. And then, they started the round 3, and I was like, I'm going to do 2 flips, real flips, not even, I'm just going to, I do play FIFA. I'm the number, and I did do this. And then it was normally between rounds, I'm keeping the first line of my next round in my head. I'm, always prepared to start my next round whenever they're done. And I just hadn't thought of my third round for a long time. And it was like, all right, Bulletz, it's on you. And I still wasn't thinking about my third round. It was so crazy. I was just like, yeah, let's do a flip. Hey, let's do another flip. You know what I mean? And then it was like, oh, I'm still in the battle. I completely forgot. I was in a battle. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I was completely dead in the water. And then by time I remembered what it was, then I was in panic mode where, you choke and then you don't want to choke again. And then I could have stopped it a few times and just got out of it nice and early. But I was really fighting back because I was still feeling like, oh, man, just, just crawl across the finish line and everything will be okay. You know what I mean? And then I'm asking him, what am I going to say next? Because I know I have all these great slow it downs. And then like the whole British, I don't care attitude like hits me and like
like a cold slap, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't finish the race. I break my leg, and you know what I mean. Like our car runs over me. It was just an absolute atrocity in that third round. But yeah, that was why I choked. I choked because things were going so good that I forgot to keep battling.
Well, that's the best reason to choke, if there is any. You know what I mean? You were so good. And, the first 2 rounds are killer. And there's some good stuff in the third. The problem is it's a little bit pockmarked because you kind of have 3 sort of mini chokes. But that's not to say that there isn't, like, long stretches where there's bars after bars and it's really good. And it's at the same level of the first 2. Cook MC's, Bamalam joke, it's kind of how you end it. But you say yourself, actually, towards the end, you basically almost end with Brandon Lee swag, Bulletz killed you in your best performance. And you say, I could have ended on that line. Like, but you seem to kind of have this kind of almost stubbornness to want to keep going, and obviously.
Yeah, because I literally thought like, just end it now, end it now, just stop now. Like, that's what I thought in my head. I'm like, it's a good line, it's good. Let's just get out of here, and that's what I wanted to do. Bulletz killed you in your best performance. Like I felt like he was gonna have his best performance, and that I was gonna kill him. And it's like I was was trying to just keep things going in a certain way, and when it came down to it, I just kept fighting instead of just like rolling over and just like, it's okay, man, you can live to fight another day.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like, it was an epic choke. It was an epic destruction. His moment, I don't really care, to be honest, was an epic like body bag in the third. I'm not gonna lie and be like, if I did it all over again, I'd do it the same. No, hell no. But if I was gonna choke, and I could say, let's get rid of that line or keep it, I would keep it because it was a part of the battle and it was different. Yeah.
And then obviously Bam wins unanimously. The judges, interesting watching the judge decision. You have Jefferson Price, Mark Grist, Rizzle Kicks.
R.I.P.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you see him in the front row of your battle, and it's just weird to see him there, not knowing what later awaits him that day. It's quite ominous, really.
I knew though.
Oh,
he didn't know.
Wow. Oh my god. You and Caustic just having this London trip, just telling each other everything.
I was in the room when everything was being.
Oh my god.
Everything that happened, I was in the room, and I'm like, oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah, and anyway. That was the 4th birthday event was just when I was kind of getting into Don't Flop, and I've attended a day of the subsequent 5th, 6th, and 7th birthdays, and none of them have seemed to have lived up to it at all, really. I mean, I've been to great Don't Flop events since, not say the events are dead, but kind of the birthday crowds quite notoriously are quite, just not very lively, really. And that is a slight venue issue as well. Certainly the Leeds venue for the 5th and 6th birthday was kind of odd. It was more of a gig venue, and it kind of didn't really give it that sense of intimacy that the 4th birthday.
No, I mean, you know what? Like, as I was saying before, it's all about just phases. And the 4th birthday was the beginning. Like, it was still in the middle. It was a time when everybody was just, this is the greatest thing ever. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. So that was it. There was no questions to it. And then what happened is, same thing would happen with Don't Flop. I mean, with King of the Dot. King of the Dot had like this one epic card. I think it was Blackout 3, maybe. Whatever Blackout one it was. It was the first one that was like a just complete epic card from top to bottom, where like every battle was crazy. It was, I forget. It was a Blackout.
Was it Holohan Cortez? Was that the card?
Yeah, it would have been that card.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. Card. Yeah, the production on that is fantastic. It's got like Nameless, Kid Twist, and
and then after that, it was like they been given steak, and they're like, well, I really liked the hamburgers before, but I had steak. I want steak now. I want steak every single event. Like, I want to always eat steak. And Don't Flops had some of these epic, crazy cards, and it's just like, you have to do so much more as a battler, as a league, as whatever, to get the kind of reaction that you used to be able to get. The only difference is, which is great because, Don't Flop has an amazing support system, like, from the fans, is they still show up, 1,000 at a time. You know what I mean? They still show up, but they're not just so eager to react to stuff that maybe should get certain reactions. But it's still like an amazing crowd.
Yeah.
It's just not It's just not. I mean, the last one was an amazing crowd.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Checkpoint.
Yeah. That was not. That was the only. That was like the first bad crowd I've ever been in a Don't Flop event. But I mean, in general, and since then, and it seems like it's always still a great crowd. However, it's never been anything like, that timing of that 4th birthday party era.
No, and I mean, we'll skip ahead a few battles now, but in the meantime, you kind of Grand Prix and your emerged on Don't Flop established you as a dangerous force, and you kind of killed it really. Like coming back to Don't Flop against the Saurus, as we said, really good battle. The JC battle's fantastic, and then battled Lotazay in a quiet room with XL, who I mean we'll just touch on that briefly, but how did that come about?
I mean, XL at the time was an up-and-comer. He
Yeah.
battled pretty much the only person that he really had battled that everybody knew was Daylight. So
Great battle, yeah.
Yeah, so he was an up-and-comer with a lot of... I think this was before his URL stuff. This was, before the BET stuff. It was just, like, literally at the beginning. So he was, like, a hot commodity type of a new guy. And Queen's Flip was looking for somebody to put in the events in that battle, and I'm not sure how my name came up, but it did, and he called me up, hey, you want to do a triple threat match? And it was like, all right, and we just kind of had to decide, is it going to be 2 rounds, how long is the round, are the rounds going to be, etc. But that was my only good battle of that whole year, and it was a battle that I learned a lot with. In the 3rd round, I said, something violated, your hip got annihilated. And I literally smacked my hip because he got pocket checked. So I just imitated him getting pocket checked and his knees buckling. And this was a battle where there were 3 guys that are extremely bar heavy. Like, Lotazay only, like, he just raps and punches over and over again. And XL is more of a wordplay type guy, so he's just doing nonstop wordplay. And for the most part, I was doing nonstop punches and wordplay and schemes. And I took like a little break in the 3rd to do a little bit of theatrical, funny thing. And it was by far like the most talked about part of that whole battle. And that's when I really went, what am I doing here? I hit my hip, and that's what everybody wants. There's like 30 minutes of bars and one, quote unquote knee slapper, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended. And that's what people are talking about. And that's when I kind of went, okay, it's time to reevaluate things. I mean, it was already time because 2014 was a bad year. But it was like, all right, now I know where I'm going.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching your 15 Minutes of Fame interview, your post interview with after the Chilla battle, which we'll get onto now, where Bishop Brigante just crashes the interview and like starts screaming at you. Like, it just I kind of had it in the background. I was like, oh shit. And then you say yourself, you say that 2014 wasn't necessarily something you were too into or whatever. And we get onto the Chilla battle.
He say, I shot your pinto with the llama. Now your chickpea beside you. If he even coffee bean roasted, blow. Now your kidney your father. That's you.
I mean, Chilla used to be my favourite battler. I mean, some of his early battles I still think are absolute classics, like, obviously JC, M City, Cash Eating, B Magic.
Of course,
even the DNA battle. I mean, I know that's kind of a bit of a weird, because kind of like a Bon Jovi stadium rock. It's really empty kind of battle. But
that was terrible. That was the death. We've talked about
that
was the death of schemes.
That already was the death of schemes. Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of like we have like the day the music died, and that was kind of like the day associative wordplay died is Chilla DNA. But you guys face against each other, and it's kind of like the battle everyone wants and the battle no one wants. Like it's kind of, it almost felt like it should have happened 2 years ago if we were going to see like the proper schemers go off against it. Because Chilla's kind of, I know he's kind of adapting his style now, more weapons in the ring than Green Lantern or something that he says like that against Prep, or, so he's kind of expanding his artillery here. But You guys coming together for this. I remember, though, I do distinctly remember this card, this Blackout 5 card, the sort of OVO-sponsored card. Incredible lineup. I mean, probably the best lineup King of the Dot's ever done in terms of Blackout card. Just ridiculously good. I mean, was Chilla someone you wanted to be kind of matched up against, you wanted to be asked about, or was this more kind of like, I just want to be back on a big stage for King of the Dot?
No, it's never I want to be back on a big stage.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to the previous one, but the 2014's Blackout was Blackout 4.
Yeah,
I was on a big stage, but it was in a battle that, I should take battles and take them serious or not take battles. You know what I mean? So I took the battle with J Pro. It was coming off of the JC win. It was coming off the Thesaurus win. It was coming off of like not too far removed from the whole Grand Prix. And I felt like I should get a good opponent, like not a good opponent, but I should get a big named opponent. I should get, something that's going to propel me forward if I do well. And it just wasn't something that could have happened for whatever reason. They always do try and, hook me up with opponents, but so it's not I just want to get on Blackout. I'd been on Blackout. I mean, that was the biggest problem of the year before was Blackout. I wanted an opponent that was someone where if I did well, the fans would be like, oh, okay, Bulletz is doing his thing again. Because, I had been away from, doing well for a whole year. And it was like, it's pretty much it. Like, if I don't get a good opponent, if I don't get a big opponent, if I don't get a challenge, somebody that, and again, I'm not trying to speak to anybody else, because every battle is a challenge, you know what I mean? Like, and for me, the battles where I'm supposed to win have always been the battles I lose, because I kind of mess around and I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And the battles that I'm supposed to lose are the ones I do best in, depending on how bad I'm supposed to lose. If I'm supposed to get killed, then I do the best. If I'm supposed to lose close, then I'll win close. And if I'm supposed to kill them, or if I'm supposed to win, then you're not going to see my best performance. And that's how it's always been in the past. So I'm like, I need somebody that I'm going to lose to. That, where the fans are going to be like, oh yeah, Bulletz is done. That's what I needed. Yeah. And it almost didn't happen. They asked Chilla to do the battle. He said no. At the time, it was again near the kind of near the end of all the matchmaking and stuff like that. So it was like, well, if Chilla doesn't take the battle, then we don't. We could do this battle, but Organic was really persistent in making the match happen. At one point, I even said like, all right, man, it was like really like I think it was like Rich Dollars or something like that. I'm like, what, just give me the Rich Dollars battle and I'll do that. And he was like, no, I'm gonna try one more time with Chilla. So I mean, he had said no. I jumped in his inbox like, yo man, you a clown type stuff. But I never said anything publicly.
Stop scheming at him.
Yeah, I never did anything publicly because I didn't want to like burn the matchup. You know what I mean? So, And then he accepted the battle, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But yeah, I needed the battle. It didn't have to be with Chilla, but it had to be with somebody that people would be like, okay, well, Bulletz was whack all last year. He's gonna die. That's what I needed. And Chilla is definitely namesake wise and fan base wise was definitely more than I needed to at least make a statement.
Yeah, Chilla, I mean, kind of really, he arguably had a little bit of a blip kind of post his DNA battle, kind of had to take smaller opponents like Deadman and King of the Dot, and then kind of after his Daylight battle seems to have really been on the up and up, and now obviously he's back on URL and stuff like that. Had some good showings on Don't Flop as well. Probably his math battle's probably his best one. His Tony battle's a bit of a disappointment, but this is an interesting battle. I mean, your first round, it surprised me the amount of just very meta references that are in this first round. You talk about Arsenal and Mystique. You talk about it's like watching Euro battle. They skip all this smack talk. I'm nuts on the low like Daylight. Big T on a leather couch. It will leave a lasting impression. Just kind of establishing it in kind of. You talk about the jokes of King of the Dot, but it's a really funny round. Like, and you can sort of, I don't know, it's weird. Smack doesn't laugh. but organic and laugh, and for some reason their laugh sort of helps the atmosphere of the background. I don't know what it is. They have quite distinct laughs. You can just sort of hear them underneath, and you like organics, like, you know, cracking up at some of your stuff and stuff like that. And Chilla, it's just I wanted Chilla to just kind of regress and just go into major scheme mode, but he just kind of, I don't know, some of the creativity's lacking. He has a Bulletz to school like Columbine line. He has a console scheme. He has a bar, and I'm like, and like I preface this with like, I love Chilla, like genuinely, like I think he's an inspiration. I think the guy's a genius. Like I love his writing style, but just some of the bars are a bit like, you know, I'm hot, about to bubble with the flow like jacuzzi jets. I'm like, yeah, I guess, you know, I guess you can make a bar there. Interesting, you both mentioned Puffy and Mace in your first rounds as well, which is an odd little coincidence. And then in your second, you just start with "Man, shut your boring ass up," which gets a huge reaction, and then go into this brilliant bean scheme where you just break it down. You know, since I'm from since I'm from Beantown, doing sort of impression of him, hitting with bean scheme. And then, you know, I shot your pinto with your llama, now your chickpea. I mean, you know, I'm not going to... You can check it out. Bullet's performs it really, really well. Again, I don't mean... I've seen like such a stickler here for Chilla, and like one day I hope he's on the podcast and you listen to this and you're going to hate me, but, you know, we peeling rounds like a tangerine, Chilla. Really? You know what I mean? Like, there's round wordplay, and then there's like, that's fruity in more ways than one. But there is, you know, he does have good schemes as well, and you acknowledge this with the whole, you know, if words are, he has this whole sort of artillery scheme, and words are weapons, these bars off the chains like nunchucks, which is pretty decent. I mean, obviously on stage you're talking about trying to remember your first line, and is that kind of coherent to the fact that you're kind of normally with your back to the opponent, or kind of standing quite staunch? You're not like, say, a Danny Myers, for example.
You mean with how I react to my opponents in the air?
Yeah, like how Danny, like, you know, daps people, or used to it.
I mean,
he'll react quite a bit. Yeah.
It really just came down to, at the time, it was just always thinking about my bars and trying to have a certain type of a stone face type of a thing. You know, give props when props are absolutely due, and other than that, just stand there and let them rap. But I mean, as a part of, you know, moving towards and progressing as a battle rapper, I've been working on that too, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, like against Shuffle T, you know, I mean, not Shuffle T, against Soul Jitsu, you know, I'm laughing during this round, having a good time, stuff like that. And I mean, it just comes down to like stuff that I kind of, not to sound like a weirdo, but like I've studied stuff like, okay, well, who's popular and why are they popular? You know, not to say that I want to be quote unquote popular, but I want to get certain battles. I want to get certain opportunities, and those opportunities come when you have more fans. You know what I mean? When there's more demand. And so it's like, who has the demand? Who are the guys that, you know, are at the top of the game? Who are the ones that, and, you know, I look at it, and it's certain types of battle rappers. It's certain styles of battle rap. And in the King of the Dot / Don't Flop world, you know, I feel like that's where I've been moving towards for the last, you know, since the Chilla battle, moving away from the schemes, moving away from rapid, fast rapping nonstop, moving away from a lot of the word bending. You know, like, even if I do punches, I'm not saying like the cow, you know, I'm not doing that anymore. I still will punch as much as I can, and when it's time to do a scheme, if absolutely necessary, which I haven't found it to be necessary in about a year and a half, I'll do it.
No.
But I mean that's what it is. So I mean, yeah, in that battle, it was more or less, I had planned on just being more laid back and more whatever. And what ended up happening is, when the battle was done, I'm looking at it and I was really disappointed. I'm like, oh man, I was like the ultra boring. I was like the most boring I've ever been. I completely was way too slow with my delivery. And that's how I felt. But at the same time, everybody's coming up to me like, yo, Bulletz, this new Bulletz, I love him. Like, I don't know what this is all about. I'm like, well, I wanted that reaction, but I didn't think that performance would get it. And it really, it showed me, okay, well, let's speed it up a bit. Let's put a little more emphasis into certain things. And and then I started working on that stuff with Shuffle T, and then I worked on it more with Soul Jitsu, and we'll see what happens with Unanimous.
Yeah. I mean, what a great matchup as well. Really, really, really excited to see that. But yeah, we'll just conclude with what is the kind of the perfect concatenation of that movement into that new style. And I think crucially, it's the irony. It's the kind of the acknowledgement that schemes are quite silly and they're really fun and they're really exciting. And that's not to dampen any of your previous writing or anybody else or QP or Chilla or Born or whatever. But it's just kind of, the sort of wink, which obviously Shuffle does to a ridiculous extent, really. And he kind of, obviously Shuffle, amazing talent, him and Marlowe just coming out of nowhere, really, and just established themselves as brilliant writers and performers in the league. Your attention was first flared to the battle. Shuffle came at you kind of in Bad Bars
right,
too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That battle, I mean, that was more or less Shuffle T, I would say, doing his job, because we had already agreed to battle before that came out. So we'd already agreed to battle. See, what happened was, I guess I'll drop a little exclusive here. Whenever Sunburn was when Double L battled Tony D.
Yes, the first Sunburn.
So whenever that was, they had offered me Shuffle T at, I think, the birthday event. Mm-hmm. So it was like, you want to battle Shuffle T in 5-6 months or something like that. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And now what I'll actually say is that he also said, do you want to battle Tony D at Sunburn? Yeah. Wow. So I was like, he's whack. I'm like, he's whack. Hell no. No. I said, yeah. Yeah. I'm like, well, I was like, it was funny because I'm like, well, if I take the Tony D battle, will that mean the Shuffle T battle won't happen? I don't know what I was thinking, but
Sophie's choice.
So he was like, no, you'll do both of them if they both want to do the battle. And then, so obviously Shuffle T wanted the battle, of course, because he knew that it was an opportunity to Anton Murphy me.
Finding the real Adam Willard is like solving a puzzle. In his head, a bunch of voices all talk in a huddle. 15 different personalities locked in a bubble. Whoever you actually are clearly got lost in the shuffle.
And then Tony D said he kind of has to have some kind of problem or something with his opponent, and his wording was, I don't even remotely, basically he was like, I don't dislike you in even the slightest bit, so I can't battle you.
No, no, that makes sense.
I mean, I was like, all right, Tony, I'm gonna have to work on that. You know what I mean? So so I'm working on that. Hopefully by next year he hates me and then we can battle or something. But but anyways, so that's what happened with that battle. So when it got so I wrote a bunch of stuff which was nothing compared to what I ended up battling him with. Right. And then they were like, look, Bulletz, we've got Shuffle T already on the card. There's no reason to have him overpacked. Let's put it on a later card. Which they were like, well, how about this one in February? And then I was like, I'm like, oh, well, I got this Disneyland trip. Which is funny because when he brought that up in the battle, I'm like, I don't like to lie in the battle. So I'm like, what is he talking about? It's not even true. And then he keeps telling the story, I'm like, oh, no, he's not lying. He's actually, So we were supposed to battle in that one, was just a February time, and then I couldn't, and then they rescheduled it for that battle. So he was basically saying, Bulletz, this and this and that, laying groundwork for what he was planning on doing in the battle.
Obviously, this event was the Checkpoint 2 event, which was the triumphant return of the person you didn't even know about when you first came to Don't Fluff. This was Lunacy's return.
Sorry. So you know what? Let me go back. It's not that I didn't. It's not that I didn't know about him when I went to Don't Flop. I didn't know about him before the Bamalam thing offered.
Sorry,
because when I went to Don't Flop, I had just 3 or 4 days before that seen his. She pinned me down and gave me dick. Pinned me down and gave me dick. I'm just. And that is actually what I was trying to when I was choking in the third, I was like, I'm choking. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm choking sick. And I'm like, please give me a way out of this. So I was repeating that, and I'm like, may the powers of lunacy, like ghost of lunacy, may he help me out of this situation.
The ghost of lunacy haunts
I need something to help me. So that was actually a horrifically failed attempt at turning all of that into a fake choke, and then actually finding my round and having this triumphant third round. It just didn't work at all. It was just another bad part of the choke. So yeah, I did know who Lunacy was, but not when they had initially said, "Hey, come battle and don't flop."
Yeah, I remember this battle being announced, and it was one of those kind of, Don't Flop are so good at throwing these left field kind of matchups, and when I saw it, it instantly made sense, and I just thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a really good idea. I wasn't quite clued up as I am now. It was kind of Bulletz Mark II sort of thing, and I knew you weren't going to sort of just come at him with schemes for 3 rounds. You weren't going to just arcane him or whatever. You're obviously going to take some tact and strategy. But most people were saying, "Oh, Shovel's clearly going to win this." He's always been on a hot streak, really. I can't, but at the time especially, he was definitely coming up. If anything, this battle's seen as kind of almost a minor kind of folly on his part, really. And when I wasn't actually at the event, but when all the kind of reviews came out and stuff, and I bought the PPV and stuff, this is the first battle I watched because I heard that you had murdered it, and I was just like, oh god, I can't wait to watch this, And really, you do, and you must be quite proud of this. Really, it's almost like a sort of grasping for a better metaphor here, but kind of a butterfly moment. You know what I mean? Like when the style really comes together, and then you body one of Don't Flop's biggest names, and that's not to say that Shuffle doesn't have good stuff. I think he has quite a misguided second round that isn't really about you. It's more about URL, so maybe he's kind of scrabbling things. But we'll get into the first round where you just, you talk about him sort of imitating your bars and sort of, the bad bars and stuff like that, and just a really sort of intelligent breakdown of Shuffle, which we haven't really seen. Like he's quite an elusive figure. Like if you watch his Soweto Kinch battle, Soweto Kinch does that quite well. But that was quite early in Shuffle's career, whereas here he's very much established. I think this would have been post 6th birthday, so he's kind of reigning 2-on-2 champ with Marlowe, and they've sort of bad bars happen, all sorts of things happen and stuff like that. So and just lots of brilliant bars that hit, and isn't the first time he's facing an Oreo. You talk about giving Son the business like a Persian dad, which is just one of those ones that hits there really well. I mean, you must be really pleased going into this, because you said you wanted to write for battles that were challenges and that kind of that weren't J Pros. If anyone hasn't seen J Pro, again, just at the end of the battle.
I'm not saying it like that. the J Pro battle would have been a challenge, and had I taken the proper steps into making that battle something that could have been beneficial to both of us, instead of doing that, I ended up doing something that really negatively impacted my whole situation over there with the King of the Dot fans and whatnot. So no, I'm not saying I need challenges unlike the J Pro battle. What I'm saying is I needed name-wise names that were bigger than me, where if I beat them, then they would be like, oh, he beat that guy. If I beat J Pro, they're not gonna say, wow, what, it's like, it's kind of like if I beat Troy Brown, right? Not to say that they're the same, because you know what I mean, like Troy, like I love Troy Brown stuff, but like let's say I battled Troy Brown and I won, what would that do for me? It would be nothing for me. You know what I mean? But if I battled DNA, who is, quote unquote, on paper significantly worse a writer than Troy Brown, it's a huge win for me, type of a thing. You know what I mean?
When you meant to battle DNA before the 2-on-2?
Yeah, it was in King of the Dot. But yeah, in the first round against Shuffle T, I mean, and that's kind of why when people say like me and Unanimous and I are a similar story, I completely disagree. There was never a point in my career when I was just getting slaughtered and beat down and bodied over and over. It's never happened. I've actually never been even remotely close to bodied. This might be the first time. I don't know what he's gonna say to me. Maybe he has a cool story to tell. But and it wasn't like I came up with a new Bulletz. It wasn't like Bulletz, it was more like I literally regressed and kind of brought back a lot of the stuff from the Grand Prix, which was at a time where I was like battling people, using bars, using jokes, not many jokes, but using some jokes, definitely breaking down my opponent, and then using wordplay and whatnot. And so all I did was go back to that and keep like some of the punchlines and wordplay and skills that I had learned during that year of trying to be the greatest, most complex writer to ever live. You know what I mean? Like when I realized that that's the worst thing you could ever want to do. I basically took the good stuff from that with the good stuff that in the first place people liked, and then just brought it back. And I did it against Chilla. It wasn't like the first time I did it was against Shuffle T. I had done it against Chilla. I knew that I would be battling Shuffle T, so I wanted to use angles that Shuffle T was going to use against me, so that at times like this, I could say, I was saying that to Chilla before he even said it to me. No, and also I hadn't really spit a scheme. Like I really hadn't been a quote unquote scheme rapper since the thesaurus battle. And it's kind of like when I was in school, you know, if you're a bad kid, not like I was like bad, but I was just like a kid that like, you know, class clown type of a kid. But if you're the class clown and then one day you're not the class clown, it's going to take them a year and a half to realize, yo, he's not the class clown anymore. Even if you never class clown again, you sit in your seat, you do everything you're supposed to do. When they say, hey, everybody gather around for this, they're going to look at you. Hey, get over here. You know, don't talk during so-and-so, they're going to look at you. Even if you haven't done it for a long time because of, you know, first impressions or whatever the situation is. So I hadn't schemed or been a quote-unquote scheme rapper literally since the thesaurus battle. And when I said it, you know, in the battle against Shuffle T, he was like, come on, man, get out of here. Like, he who would watch my battles was like, you know, I'm like, I haven't done it. He's like, 2 years. And he's like, get out of here. You know?
And in a weird, I mean, I've literally just checked this now, but in a weird bit of serendipity, the Saurus battle was uploaded on July 13th. Oh no, okay, I've read July for June. Forget it. I thought it was exactly 2 years upload. I was so excited then, but no, it wasn't. It was just a little bit of dyslexia there. Yeah, just I mean, obviously brilliant second round as well. You know, talk about the dependence on Marlowe, Einstein, but you bomb whenever you split Adam. Mispronouncing Gervais.
No, that's how I say it, Gervais.
That's Gervais. Okay.
I've never.
Let's
put it like this. If that's not how you say his name, I have never said it any other way. So it's funny because there were a few things when I said Gervais and he was like, and he mouthed it like,
you can see him very clearly mouth it.
What is, you know what I mean? Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what your problem is. Like, that's...
There's a difference between a reach and
I'm like,
accent,
yo, Ricky Gervais.
Think,
That's how I say his name. Now, I know that in Gervais could be a French, so it could be definitely Gervais or whatever. Gervais. But I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm not calling you out for it or anything. It's just... And then you just go on the whole sort of similarities to Brent and all that, and just brilliant. And you take an angle that Heretic would take. Just recently, at the time of us recording this, Heretic Shovel T just came out from the Sheffield event, where Heretic basically in his, I think it's his first round, talks about how Shuffle's just battled sort of so many different things. You know, Confluence, Bad Bars, Fanta, and you just sort of say that you go Confluent Bars, Bad Bars, Anton Murphy. It's just kind of its own thing.
Yeah, that's like the bar, that's like the bar tone thing. That's like the bar.
Yeah, exactly. And then he. I mean, you kind of break him down really, really well again in the third, kind of just taking the similar attack, and it's a fantastic battle. I mean, you must look back with pride on this one because I know a lot of people love this battle. They just think it's brilliant on your end.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this battle is, I'm not to say I don't take quote unquote pride or whatever, but I was really confident going into the battle. This was a battle that I've been most confident out of any battle that I've had in a long time. Like for example, against Unanimous, I don't know what he's gonna say. You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm not as confident. Even with my own material right now, I'm like, I want to be done by now, but I'm not. So I'm not as confident. With Shuffle T, I'm like, I know exactly what he's gonna say. I know exactly what I'm gonna say. I know how I'm going to say it. It's going to get reaction. I'm going to win. I just have to not choke. If I don't choke and I have lots of time to get it done, this is exactly what'll happen. It'll be like I don't know, like let's say you asked Nate Diaz, Nate, are you, how do you feel about beating Conor McGregor? He'd be like, I always knew I was going to be Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a surprise to everybody else, but it wasn't. And not because he's not an amazing battler. He is. He's a really good battler. But because I've always had great results with funny white guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
true.
Like, I've
Guilty.
never lost to a funny white guy unless Dirtbag Dan counts. I think he's a Latino, first of all, and all
rival podcaster as well. So,
but yeah, no. So I mean, it is what it is. So I really just the only thing that I was happy with in that battle, not the only thing, but the one thing that I was the most happy with in that battle was there were a lot of if this happens, do this. If that happens, do this. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Even down to the final scheme, it was like the day before I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this whole scheme. And like, people were like, what scheme is this? And I did it. And they're like, you have to do it. I'm like, well,
yeah.
I wanted to bring people on stage so that I wouldn't be doing it by myself, but there's nobody on stage. So now I'm going to be up there snapping by myself. It's going to be weird. They're like, the crowd will react and the crowd will join in. Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Then maybe I'll do it. And then it was like, when I'm done the scheme before that, which was the whole that breakdown scheme, if rapping's a hobby, then stick to act, if whatever it was, I was like, if I feel like I'm clearly ahead, and the reaction from that scheme is like similar to the reaction of the Hitler's Nazi scientific scheme. If I get that kind of reaction, then I'm gonna call time, and I'm not even gonna do the thing. If I get anything less than like that kind of a stellar response, then I'm going to do it. So normally I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly, how long my round's going to be, So with that one, I was like, I finished that section and Sharon's in the corner jumping up and down. Do it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Don't worry, I'm doing it. And, the whole segue into it, I was never really sure how I was going to do it. I never planned on making it look like a choke. I just planned on making it look like I was snapping my fingers, but it looked like a choke. So, I mean, everything just really went perfect. And when I wrapped that, I had never had it go as perfect as it did in that actual situation. So,
yeah, it was magic, wasn't it? It was just in sync, and it was
so
brilliant
that's what I feel like the most, like yeah, dope. It's that, not the beating shuffle part. I thought that he was gonna be a little better. Like his first was amazing. Amazing, and I figured it would be. I was not like you can't say I was willing to give him the round if he was going to take it. You know what I mean? It was not my choice. His first was better in the sense of what he does, what the crowd wants to hear, and just really clowning and being entertaining. I've never had an opponent. I've never been in a battle where I show people the battle who don't watch battles, and they're like, they watch all 3 rounds, or whatever, and they're like, I really like Shuffle T. And it's like, yo, man, you watching my battle though? My wife's like, this guy's really funny. Like, he's really fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think her 2 favorite people in battle rap are now like maybe Shuffle T and definitely Harry Baker, because she likes his.
Harry Baker's actually brilliant.
But yeah, no. So I mean, like his first round was what it was, and then I'm just like, all right, same. I gotta break him down in the second. I was aware that I might not get the reactions because it was more of a breakdown round. You know what I mean? It's not the kind of things that everybody jumps out of their seat. It's more like, a silent killer type of a thing where they're like, yo, he's kind of talking some real stuff here. And then say the same stuff from the second in the third in a more entertaining or a more explosive fashion type of a thing. So
sure. No, it's a brilliant watch, and that kind of concludes the battles. There's just one more brief thing I wanted to ask you about. Just more, I'm curious, what happened with the PG?
Yeah, I mean, I did the PG. I killed it.
Around what era was this?
This
PG?
was the first. This is my first battle after Paul Rich, after the Grand Prix, like early 2000, whatever that year that was.
Oh yeah. So mid 2013.
Yeah, it was like before the JC, before Dirtbag Dam, before Thesaurus, after the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So that little section in there. It was April. It was April of that year.
And you were asked by is it Norbs that does it?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if I was asked. I don't know what it was. But I was. At the time the PGs were a little different. Right now, there's like a zillion PG events, and there's all these tons of people that get PGs, and they have PG events in all these different cities. But at that time, it was like there was the first class of PGs, which was the Chillas and all of that stuff. Chilla and B Magic and Clean Paper and all that, and then this was like between the first class and the second class, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna come out there, and I was battling this. This is actually a really aggressive guy from St. Louis, named T-Dubbo. He's actually a really good guy.
Oh, didn't Remy do
Remy battled him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good battle. Yeah.
So I battled him, and had it was like 3 rounds, and it was all punchlines and schemes, nothing else. It was just my first round was all schemes. My second line was every possible flip I could think of for T, Dub, and O. And
it's a great name to flip. It was
crazy.
Isn't it?
And my second round, it was like people that were there believe that my second round threw him completely off, because the first round I think he might have won. I had a great round, and the crowd loved it. And then he rapped, and he was better. But I was like, I don't care, because my second round is the best round I ever wrote. And I killed it. And then I think it threw him off. People say that it threw him off because it was like, damn, he didn't expect that. And then he choked at the end of the second. And then I rapped my third. It was like back to, more punches and more stuff. And it did really well again. And then he choked in his third. So basically it was me rapping all 3 rounds, him choking 2 out of 3 rounds. I think they were looking to push him. It wasn't like, let's get Bulletz over here, he's going to be the next star.
Yeah.
So when he didn't show up, I think it was like, all right, man, well, Bulletz, go do your thing. You know what I mean? But Norbs did pretend like it was going to drop for like 9 months. Like, no, it's coming out next month. No, it's coming out next month. Yeah. But since then, I've literally recycled every single non-T.
I was going to say, yeah.
In every single battle since that battle, I can bring you to a point and say T-O battle, T-O battle, T-O battle, and every single one is big reaction. There's not one battle bar that I took from the T-O battle that didn't get a great reaction in another battle.
I mean, I always think that when they get vaulted, these PGs, it's like, can't they just send you a copy?
That's what I said.
I know it's not edited, but like...
I said, give me my round. Like, let me put up my rounds online. Don't even send me T-O's rounds. Just send me my rounds so I can show, that it happened and, the reaction to it and the actual material. But, at the end of the day, they didn't do it. But I knew that it was a possibility that it wouldn't come out before I took the battle. That's something when you're doing a PG. It's not like you go to King of the Dot and you're like, yeah, whatever happens, I know it's going to make the online. I knew that there was a possibility, and that T-Dubbo has a history of choking. He chokes in battles sometimes, or at least more often than the average person chokes in a battle. So I knew that if he choked, it probably wouldn't come out. But my whole thing with that battle was I wanted to, first of all, battle in the quote-unquote URL, atmosphere, whether it was a small PG room or a big room. I wanted to battle there. It was 3-minute rounds, which is much different than, what normally with King of the Dot. At the time, the longest round I ever wrote was for like 90-second rounds or something like that.
Yeah.
So and it was no jokes. It wasn't about jokes or whatever. It was literally, you gotta have punches and you gotta keep rapping and you gotta just really bring a certain style. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna do 9 minutes of this, and that's what I did. And I wanted to know, like, can I do that, and how well can I do it? And that's that. I killed it. So
Yeah, it's tantalizing. I'd love to.
Actually,
see it.
actually,
I really
there's
would.
4 bars left that have not been used that will be in the unanimous battle.
It's like it's like you know, the Native American Indians.
Yeah.
And you use every part of the of the T-dub round.
Yeah, it was
Like,
the
you
one
know.
joke that I had in the whole battle. Like, it was a joke section. Where do I have it? I think I'm gonna have this at the beginning of my second. So yeah, the beginning of my second round against unanimous are the last 4 bars from the T-double battle.
Oh, terrific. Well, we'll just wrap this up with as we always do on Battle Rap Resume, just like 2 or 3 quick fire questions. What is your favorite don't flop battle, or a don't flop battle you really enjoy? It's these are kind of putting people on the
That's
spot
tough.
here,
I mean,
but,
the best battle I've ever seen, for the most part, at least, and don't flop for sure, is Arsenal versus Shoddy, and I saw that live. So,
yeah.
So
Oh my god, yeah.
I would just have to say that, because I don't think I've seen a better battle than that in don't flop. So yeah, that.
Great. Yeah, no, definitely. And URL?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, yes,
I don't know
spoiled for choice.
Yeah.
Spoiled for choice. Your favorite artist or bands that aren't hip hop related?
Rush.
Rush. Dope. Yeah, good choice.
Actually, I'm going to go to my first concert in a long time if I can get these tickets. Like, I gotta buy them tonight, but it's I don't know what it's called, because I haven't been following for a while, but it's like some kind of a guitar thing. But it's Yngwie. It's
Oh shit! Is that guy with Steve Vai
Yngwie
and
Malmsteen,
Nuno
Steve Vai,
Bettencourt?
Zach Wild. Yeah.
God.
I'm gonna.
The guy from Animals as
Yeah,
Leaders.
Tossin.
I was
something.
Yeah. Oh no, it's I was looking at Generation X, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've posted about Yngwie Malmsteen and them, so I think they did like a Facebook, whoever, you know what I mean, like they advertised it, and so then it showed up on my wall, like, this is coming to, you know, to Toronto. So I'm like, I've seen Malmsteen before. I've seen Vi like 3 times. I've seen, because you know they used to do the G3 thing.
Yeah, I never.
Yeah, I went to
I
the
always wish that
G3
came
when
to
it
London.
was Vi, Malmsteen, and Eric Johnson. Then I saw.
I love Eric Johnson.
Vi,
Yeah,
Malmsteen and Petrucci from Dream Theater.
yeah.
And then
Of
I
course,
saw it when it was Vi, Vi Satriani. That's what I meant every time.
Satriani,
I meant
the
that every
classic
time. It was
kind
Vi Satriani and the third guy.
Oh right, okay.
So it was, and then the third guy was, you know, Johnson, Petrucci, and Malmsteen. So those are the 3 times I saw G3. So this would kind of be like, you know, going to one of those shows.
That would be amazing. Yeah, like I know they've done it with Paul Gilbert as well. I really like, and that would be really good to see. But okay. Well, that's a bit of shred guitar right at the end. Why not? And anyway, Bulletz, thank you so much for being involved. And they can just get you on Twitter, just at 100 Bulletz.
Yeah, with the Z. You know.
With the Z, yeah, of course, not the not the nickname that your grandmother gave you, right. the graphic novel. But again, if you want to follow the show at Battle Resume. But as ever, I've been Tom Quee, and thank you so much for listening. Cheers.
The first thing I remember, Cool Herc and the break beats. Hopping everywhere, Brooklyn to Grape Street. I was conceived in the summertime, no AC. Mom and pops at a block party, it made me. My early life, it wasn't all that bad. My dear mama, old soul, gave me all I had. Papa hit it, rock and roll out, wasn't all that sad. Unless you listen to my sister talking all that jazz. My uncle always in a funk, little brother been a punk. Crates in the backseat, father put me in the trunk. Grew up in the 80s, I ain't really like class. This is how I B-boy, battling the mic spaz. Crazy legs, head spinning, told him I'll be right back. I ain't gonna walk this way, yeah boy, it's like that. Made a whole planet rock, all from a mic check. Stay